An article was written recently about hyperbaric oxygen therapy in Men's Health magazine. I had a number of people send it to me as soon as it came out, assuming at first that it was a positive story about hyperbaric oxygen. And as it turns out, it's a great lesson in what not to do as a hyperbaric clinic. And that's what we're going to cover in today's video. If you're new to our channel, I'm Dr. Jason Saunders, founder of HBOT USA, and I've been practicing hyperbaric medicine for over 20 years. And for the last 7 years, teaching, educating, and certifying hyperbaric clinicians and technicians in hyperbaric medicine. As the hyperbaric industry continues to grow, and I see hyperbaric oxygen making the headlines, at this point, I'm not always sure whether I should be nervous or excited to read the article. When I saw an article show up in Men's Health magazine, I was really excited, assuming that this article was going to be talking about the general benefits of hyperbaric oxygen from a quality of health and longevity standpoint. Instead, it became a step-by-step guide for every clinic out there to be aware of exactly what not to do to a new client coming into your clinic. We're not going to read the article word for word in this video, but we will link to the article in the description below in case you want to read it in its entirety. Once I received the link from a number of people that morning, and I finally clicked it so that I could actually see what this article was about, I got a much better idea as soon as I saw the title. I tried hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and then I got stuck in the chamber. My first thought was, okay, here we go. Here's a general overview of the article. The author, seemingly a health enthusiast, was hearing about hyperbaric oxygen from a number of sources, seeing it on social media, having his friends who are also health enthusiasts recommend hyperbaric oxygen. And finally, he said, you know what, let me give hyperbaric a try. So he found a local clinic, he made an appointment, and he went in for his first hyperbaric session. In the end, it seemed like he was not given a tremendous amount of instructions on what to expect and what his responsibilities would be inside the chamber. They didn't necessarily discuss things he should be preparing for before, during, and after his session. They certainly didn't give him instructions on what he should or should not be bringing inside of the chamber. And not only did the policies and the procedures of this particular hyperbaric clinic not meet or exceed the industry standard, it fell way short, missing the mark completely. As a result, he had a terrible experience. He wrote all about his terrible experience in this article. And now we have another article inside this industry steering people away from hyperbaric, because who would want to have an experience like that? The title alone, I was stuck inside of a hyperbaric chamber. That's pretty much almost every new patient or new client's biggest fear, right there in the headline. During our consultation and after somebody schedules their first visit and upon entering the office on their first visit, we repeat certain concepts at every one of those interactions. And what we're doing is we're creating a layer of expectations so that patient is totally prepared what to do, what to bring, what not to bring, and how to make the most out of this hyperbaric experience. And the reason that we're so specific about how we educate our patients and how we develop those expectations is because hyperbaric is a long-term relationship. It's not a one and done type of therapy. In order for somebody to really gain the response and the results that they're looking for, hyperbaric is something that needs to be done a number of times to really extract the majority of the benefits. And so to have a bad experience on the first session is a guaranteed way to make sure that that patient never comes back. And as a result, never gets the benefits they were looking for. And as bad, or maybe even worse, having somebody running around the community saying, I tried hyperbaric, it's a nightmare, don't ever do it. In this case, it's even worse, writing an article in Men's Health for thousands and thousands of people to now read that he got stuck in the hyperbaric chamber. For one, he begins talking about how he started to feel his ears popping, almost as if that was a surprise, meaning nobody explained the fact that this is a pressurized environment and that his responsibility is to feel the change in pressure in his ears and to be equalizing his ears regularly throughout that process. Equalizing your ears early and often, staying ahead of that pressure building up, is the number one way to make sure that somebody is comfortable and feels safe inside the chamber. Those instructions seemed not to be there. Next, we see that he was taking pictures of himself inside the chamber, scrolling, and even doing some emails. So clearly, nobody told him that there is a zero tolerance rule about bringing electronics into the chamber. Pressure changes and lithium-ion batteries do not mix. It is a zero tolerance inside the hyperbaric industry. He then describes the sensation of needing to go to the bathroom just a few minutes later, and he wonders to himself, I think I went before I went in. I'm not really sure, but I don't know if I can hold it much longer. Definitively having the conversation around, once you're in a pressurized environment, it takes time to depressurize and get you out. Every patient should know that before even getting into the chamber, and every single patient in our clinic and every single patient in your clinic should be going to the bathroom definitively before getting into the chamber. One step further, we even talk to patients about not having a lot of liquids hours before going into the chamber, just to make sure they don't run into this issue in the first place. Again, another concept that was clearly missed by this particular clinic. It only gets worse from here. As he sits and ponders whether or not he can hold it long enough, he starts to get more uncomfortable, and then he clearly starts to have feelings of anxiousness. He's not sure how to get out, and no one is there to help him. Wait a minute. Nobody's there to help him? He's trying to figure out how he can get out of the chamber. He was instructed at one point that there's an emergency decompression button, but not to push it unless it's an actual emergency. And here he is alone inside the chamber wondering, is this enough of an emergency to push the emergency decompression button? He's hitting the call button, trying to call the front desk. That's another issue we'll get to in a moment. But here he is in the chamber alone. That should also never happen. Every clinic is supposed to have hyperbaric technicians that are in and around that chamber at all times. They should be visible and clearly watching the patient during pressurization and depressurization, and they should still be in the room checking on these patients periodically throughout the entire session. That is standard hyperbaric technician 101, which clearly was never taught to these people. So here he is alone, afraid, anxiously needing to go to the bathroom, wondering about pushing the emergency button, but hitting the call button numerous times without any response at all. How would that make anybody feel? Even if you're comfortable with hyperbaric, that's enough to make you very uncomfortable and anxious inside that chamber. He then starts to realize that the chamber environment is becoming even more uncomfortable. It's getting warmer, it's getting humid, the glass is starting to fog up. Now, there's a number of reasons why that happens. Number one, as you're pressurizing the chamber, increased pressure equals increased temperature. So it could get warm in the chamber, but imagine all that he's going through in that chamber, how anxious he probably was in that moment, his breathing, his respiration rate, his heart rate during all of those changes that were going on inside of his body while he was rapidly calling somebody for help and wondering about the emergency decompression, all of which would have made that chamber environment even warmer, even more humid. And so seeing foggy glass at that time is not a surprise to me at all. His last statement about the environment was it felt like a humid coffin. You think this guy's ever going to try hyperbaric again? This was an incredibly huge mistake on the part of this clinic. He says after 10 minutes of rapidly pushing the call button, someone from the front desk finally showed up. Is this a hyperbaric technician, or is this the receptionist at the front desk? Is the receptionist at the front desk trained to be a hyperbaric technician? Do they even have a hyperbaric technician operating this chamber? Why did it take 10 minutes for somebody to finally come into that room to help this guy? Was he on the phone? Was he helping another patient? I don't know any of the answers to these questions, but obviously this would create an enormous amount of mistrust between the client and the staff inside this clinic. Once the office staff finally got to him, they notified him that there'd be at least a 2-minute decompression process in order to get him out, which again only made him more anxious. But he should have known that well before getting into the chamber in the first place. It takes time to get to pressure. It takes time to get back from pressure. And when you're inside a pressurized environment, you cannot just open the door. That should have been inside of the initial conversation of expectations of your first dive so that he knows exactly what he's dealing with well before any of this even happened. Yet in this moment, needing to use the bathroom and being incredibly anxious, he's now told that there'll be an additional 2 or 3 minutes before he can get out. So his next statement is something to the effect of, I got out of the chamber, stressed out, sweaty, and ran to the bathroom wondering, was this experience supposed to help me feel better? What do you think? Did this experience help this man in any way, shape, or form? No, of course not. The author then goes into a little bit of the background of hyperbaric. It's been around for a long time. It's known to help people with a very specific set of health issues or certain diagnoses, and then starts to question whether or not hyperbaric is really appropriate inside of a quality of life or longevity type of clinic or spa. Is the research really there helping to promote long-term health in otherwise healthy people? Is it worth doing hyperbaric if you don't have one of the 15 approved indications that hyperbaric's utilized for inside of a hospital or wound care center? Is there enough science to really promote utilizing hyperbaric as a tool for health optimization? Now, if you've spent any time on this channel at all, we've covered those topics in great detail. And you know that I'm a proponent of utilizing hyperbarics for health optimization, as it does have such a wide range of usages and benefits. But I'm not sure that this author will ever try it again, ever go back to that clinic, or ever do enough sessions to find out what the real benefits for him could have been. We'll get right back to the video, but real quick, I wanted to let you know that if you're new to hyperbaric and you're really trying to learn more about hyperbaric oxygen and its appropriate uses, I wrote a book, Oxygen Under Pressure, which is available on Amazon, and it goes into the details of what is hyperbaric, how does it work, why does it work, why is it so powerful for so many of the things that it helps, and how do we use it appropriately and use it safely. And so if you're interested in that, we're gonna add a link in the description below so that you can buy that book today. All right, now back to the video. To the author of this article, Richard, if you're listening, as I stated earlier, I made this video as a tool, hopefully, to help educate other clinics of exactly what not to do so that other people don't have the same experience that you had. But I'm also going to say to you, clearly, this wasn't the right clinic for you. In fact, I'm not sure that this was the right clinic for anybody. But I ask you not to discount this entire therapy simply because you had a terrible experience inside of a clinic that was clearly not prepared or trained to deliver the therapy properly. Give it another shot, go to the right place, and have the experience you were hoping to have. To the clinics out there, please use this as a lesson of exactly what not to do inside your clinic. Take what this clinic did, turn it around 180 degrees, and do the opposite at almost every step of the way. Recognize that almost every patient going into a chamber is going to be mild to moderately nervous. Every one of them. Assume that they are. Have conversations about what to expect. Set the degrees of expectations, both the expectations that you may have on the patient, but also what the patient can expect from you. Communicate effectively, communicate transparently, stick around, be available for that patient inside the chamber so that they have confidence that they're going to be safe and they have confidence that they're going to have the right experience. Build a long-lasting relationship of trust and rapport with everybody that comes to your clinic, allowing them to feel comfortable enough to stick around long enough to get the benefits that they're looking for from hyperbaric oxygen. Richard, personally, I've been doing my own hyperbaric sessions for over 20 years and have extracted enormous amounts of benefits. And we've treated thousands of patients over 2 decades. I have a long list of happy patients that have thrived in that hyperbaric environment. I'd love to share more stories with you if you're willing to listen. To everybody else listening to this video, whether you've tried hyperbarics yet or you haven't, take every article you see, every video you see, even the videos that we make. Take them all with a grain of salt, do your research, figure out what's best for you, and then make decisions accordingly. Certainly don't do hyperbaric session because I told you to, but don't avoid hyperbarics just because there's an article out there saying that one person had a bad experience at a particular clinic. There's so much more inside this hyperbaric industry for you. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'll see you on our next video.